Hey everyone, it's Alex here at Ninja Teacher Academy, our new TEFL course location, and we've got our amazing new mural behind us done by a friend of ours, Vanessa. We're in love with it. What do you guys think? I think it's great. And I've got a Ninja Teacher shirt on, so totally overdoing the branding here. But this topic of this video is actually an important one and a serious topic. As you can tell and probably read from the thumbnail title, is I had an accident, and that happened a few days ago. Luckily, I wasn't seriously injured, but I do have a little bit of damage and a few scars probably to remember it by. And what I want to do in this video is tell you exactly how you can avoid getting hurt when you're riding motorcycles or being a passenger on a motorbike taxi, and what precautions you should take on top of that so that if you are in some kind of serious accident, you can be covered and get the proper medical attention that you need. So what happened with me is I was driving along, probably driving a little bit too fast for the city, nothing crazy over the speed limits. I mean, I don't even know what the speed limit is in the city, but everyone drives very slowly, and I normally drive quite slowly too. People are going 20 to 30, maybe 40 kilometers per hour, so it's not that fast at all. And if you're going a little bit faster than that, then well, you know, if someone pulls out in front of you, you have less of a chance to react and get out of the way, or dodge them. So that's essentially what happened to me. Guy pulled out in front of me a little bit further than he should have without looking, and I swerved to avoid it and went down. So not the funnest experience, but luckily I wasn't badly injured. I do have some scrapes, and I did go into the doctor's to get an x-ray on my foot, which got a little bit pinned under the bike. Turns out it was just bruised, nothing fractured or broken. Going into the doctor cost about $120, including a tetanus shot and an x-ray and the consultation. So I guess relatively cheap, paying cash out of hand compared to Western standards, but quite high compared to Vietnam standards because I went to a Western style clinic here. Now, I'll get more into that in a second on how to pay for that kind of stuff, but the first thing I want to cover is what I think is probably the most important thing, and that's getting a good helmet to wear when you're on a motorbike in Vietnam, whether you're driving or whether you're going on Grab, taxi, motorbikes. And for those of you that don't know, that's the app like Uber that you can call a taxi. There's another one called Go Viet, and both of them you can call motorbike taxis. So you'll just hop on, they'll take you to the destination, exactly the same concept as Uber. But they'll give you this flimsy little helmet when you get on the motorbike. So if you're not carrying one with you, which yes, it's a mission to carry around. That's a South African expression, we say that a lot. It's a lot of effort to carry around a big bulky helmet, right? But if you don't do that, then you're going to get this kind of flimsy, not very good one. And even the slightly better ones that are just around the top like this, you're still going to come off pretty bad if you land like I did, kind of on your head to the side. So the helmet I have is not a full face one, obviously, because you can see I got grazed on my face here, but it was one of the ones that does come down along the sides and around, and that obviously helped a lot to protect the side of my head, and although I still got these bruises. So having a full head helmet would honestly be the best option, and I know Kyle has one from the Ninja Teacher team, Eddie has one too, they always lug them around, and it's a pain of course, but if you don't wear one of those, you're more of a risk, right? So I was pretty happy wearing the one I had, which was a bit of a trade-off. Pros and cons being, well, it's a little bit more breezy, it's not as uncomfortable as wearing a full head one, but it still does have some side protection. And obviously this is the result of that, deciding to go for that over full head, full face helmet. So, you can weigh up the options. I'm much more inclined to get a full face one now and especially if I go on any more long motorbike trips. If you're going at higher speeds, this would have been worse, right? Next up, if you're driving a motorbike yourself, get a license, because if you don't get a license, you can't get insured. And this is what my license looks like, my Vietnamese license, nice little yellow license over there. It's a little bit of a process to get one, but we have made a video about how to do that, so I will link to it up there, so you can check that out if you want, and in the description below. That is essential if you're going to be riding a bike yourself and you want to be covered by insurance, because most insurance providers won't cover anything that happens to you if you're riding a bike illegally, right? And then of course, if you are with an insurance provider, make sure to check that it does cover riding motorbikes, because obviously that's important if you do get into an accident, and if it covers having you as a passenger, because that will be the case if the Grab taxi that you're on has an accident, then you also want to be covered for that. And then if you're going to be riding motorbikes yourself, again, technically you can actually ride a motorbike that's under 50 cc's without a license. So you can go and rent a 50cc motorbike and ride around the city without a license. Again, check with your insurance provider if that is covered. So then if you're going to ride a motorbike in the city, I would highly recommend that you do some motorbike lessons before doing that. There are some good companies. We made a video recently on the channel about Angie and Miranda going for some lessons, and they seem to do like a really good job of walking you through how to get started. If you do have a license, then 100cc, 125, one of those moped, scooters, whatever you want to call them. For those of you that don't know, everyone just calls it a motorbike in Vietnam. It doesn't necessarily mean we're talking about a big motorcycle. It includes whatever you want to call them, scooters, mopeds. That's what everyone drives. So get some lessons, make sure that you are covered license-wise and under 50 cc's if you don't have a license. And then the biggest one, and I shouldn't even have left this for last, is get health insurance. International health insurance, at least travel insurance. So important, guys. Really seriously get it if you're coming out. There's been quite a few people I've heard of that don't have it, and then they have to have some kind of operation because something happens, not even necessarily motorcycle related. So this just is across the board. You don't want to be hospitalized and have to have something done to you, like if you get a bug or whatever it is, you don't want to not be covered. And the same goes for motorcycles. If you do get into a serious accident, you do want to be covered. So get a license, be covered. I've got a link to a blog post I did on travel insurance, which you can get. You can do your own research and find a good international health insurance provider, which is probably a better option than travel insurance, because that's a little bit more geared towards short term, although it does still cover you for all this kind of stuff we're talking about. So just to finish off on a serious note, over the last few years, we've helped over 500 people come to Vietnam to find teaching jobs, help them get TEFL certified, help them find jobs. And that's a high number of people, and obviously there's a percentage chance that some of those are going to be in accidents here. And this year, actually 2018, we had at least 2 students, 2 that I know of, have pretty serious motorcycle accidents. And the one, he was down in Vung Tau, living in a beachside town, and he had a motorcycle accident there. Thankfully, he's recovered well now, I believe. Actually, him and another student have YouTube channels, and I think they made like a comeback video of him going back to the gym. He's a beast. Go check them out if you're interested. But another one of our students did have quite a bad bruising on the spine, I believe, or something along those lines. Luckily, it wasn't fractured, I believe, but he lost some feeling in his hands, and I think that's been coming back, and hopefully he'll make a full recovery and be back on good form. And none of this is to try and scare you away. Like I said, that's a lot of teachers, and there's only been a few serious accidents from what I've heard of. like you see, you can have a minor accident in Ho Chi Minh City and it won't be too bad. If you're going to be riding in Vietnam, I also highly recommend checking out Kyle's video on his channel about some tips for driving. You can also see that video. And I would just end off, despite all the warnings, saying that this is a fantastic city to live in. Most people drive very slowly and safely on the streets. So my experience in 3 years in Vietnam is this and one other minor accident. I wouldn't let this dissuade you though from coming out to teach English in Vietnam, because you can always just use the Grab app or the GoViet app if you don't want to be riding a motorcycle yourself. If you like riding a motorcycle, it's also a lot of fun. And if you do take the motorbike taxis, they are experienced drivers. They've been on the road for years, if not their entire lives. You know, these kids have been on motorbikes since they're like this big. So those were just some safety tips and just some preparation for things that you can do to make sure you're prepared if anything does happen, which of course you're going to hope that nothing does, and the likelihood is pretty small, as you can tell from those percentages. I'd say still come out here and do it. It's a great opportunity to teach out here. And yeah, that's it for this video. I'll hit you up with a new one very soon. And in the meantime, I don't know, subscribe or something. So I'll see you later. Bye.